What if I told you that the constant battle you wage to silence your mind is a war you will never win? Worse, what if I told you it's the fight itself that's feeding the chaos? It sounds crazy, but this is the truth no one tells you about anxiety and mental noise. We were taught to fight, to resist, to try and empty our minds by force, but that only makes it more agitated, like trying to hold water in your hands. You know this feeling. The mind that won't shut off, the constant static of worry, the paralysis when facing important tasks, feeling like a passenger in your own mind. The secret to peace isn't strength, it's strategy. The solution isn't to empty your mind, but to give it the right job. In this video, I'm going to show you how to hire your brain for 3 specific roles that act as an off switch for panic and an on switch for absolute focus. These are mental tricks so simple and powerful that you'll wonder how you ever lived without them. We're talking about transforming your brain from a noisy enemy into your most focused and efficient employee. If you're ready to stop fighting and finally start piloting your own mind, if you want access to this switch, do one thing to seal your commitment. Comment, "Enough noise," below right now, so I know who is with me on this journey. Many believe that to silence the mind, you must wage a direct battle against your own thoughts, a war of wills that, let's be honest, is rarely won. A wise observer realizes that the true path isn't one of brute force, but of cleverness. A noisy mind doesn't need a master of ceremonies shouting silence. Instead, it needs a job, a function that pulls it out of its own chaotic labyrinth and anchors it in the real world, in the now. It's a shift in strategy, from confrontation to redirection. He vividly remembers his own sleepless nights when anxiety was a paralyzing physical presence, and trying to meditate was like staring into the eye of a hurricane. The real game changer wasn't emptying his mind, but rather filling it with a single external thing. By becoming a detective for his desk lamp, noticing every detail, every scratch, every speck of dust, the internal noise simply dissipated. It's like giving a restless dog a bone to chew on. All its energy gets channeled into a single point, and peace reigns. So in practice, how do you do this when the whirlwind of thoughts threatens to take over? The trick is surprisingly simple. Stop, just stop, and choose an object around you. For 60 seconds, become a sensory detective and mentally describe it with an almost comical level of detail. What is its exact color? The texture under your fingers? The temperature? The weight? Give your brain the delicious bone of the present moment and watch what happens to your anxiety. This approach works for a very elegant reason. It brilliantly exploits a fundamental quirk of our brain, which cannot truly multitask on conscious, demanding activities. By intentionally flooding its attention channel with sensory information from the outside world, there is simply no processing power left for the vicious cycle of worry. This is the first and perhaps most fundamental tool of command. But what happens when the noise isn't just a thought, but a vibrant, almost electric energy in the body itself? For that, a different internal specialist must be summoned. As we've seen, there are moments when the mental noise isn't just a whisper, but an electric current running through the body, an agitation that makes the serene focus of a sensory detective nearly impossible. In these cases, trying to calm the mind with the mind itself is like trying to put out a fire with a fan. You need to call upon a different authority, one that speaks the body's language, the physical response manager. It knows the body holds a much more primitive and immediate power of command. The mentor recalls a specific day, lost in an endless loop of rumination that left him completely sedentary and a hostage to his thoughts. In an act of pure instinct, almost desperation, he went outside and ran around the block as fast as he could. When he returned home, breathless and with his heart pounding, the silence in his head was almost magical. It's as if our brain has a big red emergency button. Intense physical effort presses it, and all non-essential systems like rumination are put on standby. The beauty of this is that you don't need to become an elite marathoner to access this switch. The physical response manager function is triggered by intensity, not duration. When the noise is deafening, push the button. Do 20 jumping jacks right there on the spot. Hold a plank position until your body starts to shake. The goal isn't fitness, It's to create a physical sensation so strong and present that your mind is forced to drop the mental problem to manage the bodily effort. The anxious mind simply cannot compete with an urgent and immediate physical demand. By creating this controlled bodily crisis, you effectively force a system reboot, breaking the cycle of obsessive thought. With the mind anchored in the present by the detective and the anxious energy purged by the physical manager, the field is clearer. But what about when the noise doesn't come from within but from without, from a task so colossal that it becomes a paralyzing monster on the horizon? So, a person has already learned to anchor the mind and purge anxious energy from the body. But what about when the noise is a constant echo of an external task, something so large it becomes a monster on the horizon, paralyzing any action? It's the "where do I even start" anxiety. The truth is, the human mind doesn't handle giant abstractions well. It freezes. It is to slice up these monsters that the most tactical function of all emerges, the micro-mission executor. He always tells the story of how the simple phrase, "I need to clean the house," used to be a source of complete paralysis. It was a vague and overwhelming project. The transformation happened when he gave himself a single micro-mission. Take the cup from the table to the sink. That's it. Upon doing it, he felt a real relief, a tiny victory. It's like being in a dense, terrifying fog. The micro-mission is the flashlight that illuminates only the next safe step, nothing more. The secret, then, is to take that thing generating the noise, finish the report, clean the garage, and break it down into the most ridiculously small physical action you can imagine. It's not write that huge report, it's open the computer and create a new document. It's not clean the entire kitchen, it's put one dirty plate in the sink. Execute that 15-second mission. Give your brain irrefutable proof that you are in control and in motion, no matter how small. Each small mission completed does more than just move a task forward. It rewrites the internal narrative, replacing paralysis with a sense of progress and releasing a dose of dopamine. You create a victory cycle. Mastering these three functions, the sensory detective, the physical manager, and the mission executor, changes everything. A person ceases to be a reactive victim of the noise and becomes the conscious pilot of their own mind, actively choosing where their attention goes. So, do you see the pattern that connects everything? The great secret to silencing your mind was never about fighting, it was about redirecting. It was about stopping the attempt to fire your brain and instead promoting it to the right positions. You now have the three most important roles to fill: the sensory detective to anchor you in the now, the physical response manager to purge the body's panic energy, and the micro-mission executor to turn paralyzing monsters into small victories. You don't need a perfectly silent, Zen-like mind. That fantasy only creates more frustration. What you need is to know where the switch is to flip, from static on the radio mode to full focus mode. And that switch isn't willpower, it's deliberate action. The real question is, which of these switches will you flip today, in the next few minutes? How long will you remain a spectator in your own life, held hostage by a noise you now know how to control? Remember this forever. Mental noise loses all its power the moment you stop seeing it as an attack and start understanding it as a signal. A signal that your brilliant, powerful brain is simply unoccupied, waiting for a clear direction, a script. The great news is you are the director. It's time to hand over the script and start filming a new reality for yourself. If this video gave you clarity and tools you can use right now, do yourself and your future self a favor. Subscribe to this channel now and turn on notifications. This journey to becoming the master of your mind is just beginning, and you won't want to get left behind.